How you doing this evening? We got a seat right here on the front row for you. Front row. We all got to keep an eye on you. Welcome to the club. All right. Let's see here. We'd like to open it up for public comments. Is there anyone here this evening that would like to make public comment before the board?
Good evening, Mayor and Board. My name is Jason Clement. I'm the CEO and founding partner for Sports Facilities Companies. We're managing the park and recreation assets here. Just wanted to follow up on previous correspondence to give you a quick update on the progress that the Brandon Parks and Recreation have made. Want to let you know that since presenting to you last, we are on pace for beating the financial forecast. It appears that we are going to almost double the revenue, best revenue year that the city of Brandon has had, and we are ahead of pace for bottom line performance. So that is a positive thing. As it relates to maintenance, we had SFC's national turf expert come out from Kentucky. We got a really good report on the turf. There are some areas that we need to improve relative to the new fields, and we are on that as an organization and as a team from a maintenance perspective. So that's a good update. And then we've implemented as well a proactive maintenance checklist, a daily checklist, a weekly, and a monthly checklist to make sure that we are on top of the ongoing and daily needs from an asset management perspective. And then lastly, from a community engagement standpoint, we operate, as you know, in complexes around the country, and we have a program called Rise to Greatness in which we partner with former Major League Baseball players and organizations to come in and run clinics for disadvantaged families, those that maybe don't get the opportunity to play because sport has gotten more and more expensive. So we are going to underwrite that and pay for that same program to come to Brandon. That is scheduled for, I believe, the second week of December, which happens to be the week before baseball and softball sign up for the spring. So our idea is to get as many of these families to come out and participate in the program as possible. More of that to come. We have Rawlings coming on to sponsor that as well. So for those that don't have a glove or don't have the equipment to play, we're going to provide that for them. We're going to provide them a meal so that these families can come out, they can participate, and get access to baseball and softball. And from there, hopefully get them to come in and participate in the rec program as well. There's a lot more good activity that is going on as well, but we wanted to give you a quick executive summary. And lastly, and not the least of which, is that we're going to improve communication. We're going to come before this board every 3 or 4 months and provide a quick update. We're going to provide an opportunity for one-on-one for us to meet with you so that you get the answers that you need to for your constituency as well, and we can proactively talk about what's coming over the upcoming 3 or 4 months so that you're not surprised by anything that's going on. So wanted to provide that update, and certainly we're available to answer any questions as we move forward from here.
Thank you very much. Appreciate you spending a few minutes here today.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. If you would, just your name and where you live, please.
Good evening, Mayor and Board. Thank you for allowing us the opportunity to speak this evening. My name is Chris Wallace. I'm one of the elders and trustees of the North Brandon Church of Christ. We're located at 1029 Highway 471 in very close proximity to the proposed liquor store variance that's being considered tonight. Our congregation represents about 100 families from the Brandon area, and we wanted to come tonight to oppose the proposal that's being put forth to allow this liquor store. As I think most people are aware, most churches and houses of worship are dedicated to enhancing and improving the community that they live in. This can be done through a various number of outreach efforts, but ultimately the goal is to bring people to a greater knowledge of God and to His Son Jesus. By growing in this knowledge of God and His will, we believe that Christians in general, while not perfect in and of ourselves, help to perfect the community in which we live through the love of God and the love of our fellow man. Establishments such as the one that's being proposed tonight have a long and storied history of negative impact in the surrounding community. Even a casual search will reveal a number of scholarly articles that have been published in peer-reviewed and well-respected journals that establish a causal relationship between the proliferation of liquor stores and the increased community violence, poor school performance, increase in DUIs, and many other negative metrics. These issues are most harmful and on the most vulnerable of our population and are marginalized in our community. Our congregation, as well as other churches and houses of worship in this area, put forth countless hours and dollars with the effort of trying to grow and improve the community around us. As such, again, we oppose this project and any that might be like it. I'd also like to say that I understand that there is a zoning or an exclusion zone, and liquor stores are not allowed within, I believe it's 100 feet if it's zoned for commercial and 400 feet if it's zoned residential. We are in a residential zone. I don't know the exact footage, but I think it's obvious that legislators in their wisdom established this exclusion zone specifically because of the negative impact of these type of commercial endeavors on those types of houses of worship and schools. Again, thank you very much for your time and do appreciate it.
Thank you. And audience, on page 2 of the agenda, there will be a public hearing. It's number 1 under the community development. So if anyone else would like to speak to that, we'll wait till we get to that on the agenda. I didn't want to interrupt you, sir. That's fine. So I hope you can stick around till we get to that item and have that public hearing. Is there anyone else that would like to make public comment about any matter pertaining to the city of Brandon? All right, board, seeing none. Board, I printed off something. I think we're all appalled and troubled by what we see in Maui, and printed off something, the deadliest wildfires on record in the U.S. And the reason why I printed that off was to point out 2 things to you. Mississippi has a stake in that. 2 of the things that we learned in the fire service, the Beverly Hills Supper Club, in May of 1977, there were approximately 165 to 170 people lost in Tennessee, in Natchez. A lot of people forget this. In the Rhythm Club, there were 209 people that perished in 1940. And all of what you see in these things is, and somewhat of this exists in Maui, is that a lack of attention to building codes and code enforcement, life safety codes, construction materials, all of those things play into an important part of having a safe community. And I just want to say that. We've got a good community development group, and our community development group is working with the fire department is working with the police department, and you're going to see more stringent enforcement of life safety codes as we should be doing as we improve and grow the city. Second thing, board, I want to say to you is the Lana Del Rey concert was announced this morning at 7 a.m. There's only 10 of those, I think, in the United States this year. That'll be September 27th. Big show. It's kind of nice to get that since we lost the Luke Bryan concert. Other than that, board, if you don't have any comments, I will begin to move on through the agenda. All right. Need a motion to approve the regular board meeting minutes of August 7th, 2023. Motion by Ms. Sharon Womack, second by Mr. Luke Coker. Any question on those? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign. Thank you, board. All right, under the mayor. First up, we'll take it singularly. Mr. Baker, I think you would agree with that. Public hearing. Public hearing regarding the tax increment financing plan for the Crossgates Crossing Development Project. Mr. Baker. Back there. Come on down. And board, I did have a couple of people remind me today to please ask you to, I know we don't like talking into microphones, but please, as a reminder, use the microphones if we speak.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm Christiana Sugg, SUGG with Gerson Associates, and we represent the developer and the proposed amendment to this TIF plan, which was approved by the city in 2016. We've worked together with your bond counsel, Sue and Mark as well, to develop a plan to expand the TIF district and increase the potential bond capacity from $1 million to $2 million. Rankin County has agreed to participate, and they will take formal action in September on setting a notice of hearing, and then we'll have the hearing in October. This proves to be a significant economic driver for the area. There's already some development out there, but because of increased project expenses and because of the addition of this 3 acres, we would like for the city's consideration in increasing the bond capacity. This is a reimbursement, and bonds are only issued if and when there's sufficient revenues from the project to support debt service on the bonds. I'm here to take any questions as needed.
Yes, just
Let
want
me do a little bit of housekeeping to get started.
one question on that. I just want clarification before you
Yes,
get
sir.
started, Mark. This is only ad valorem. This is not sales tax.
That's correct.
Okay, just want that clarification, board. Okay, Mark?
Madam Clerk, can you advise the board as to whether all the prerequisites of the public hearing have been met? And was the notice published in the paper, and do you have a proof of publication for the minutes? Okay, and you'll ask that when you receive that be appended to the minutes? Okay. During the period of publication, do you receive any comments from the public regarding the same? All right. Christiana, Ms. Sugg, if you could, would you generally describe for the audience the nature, I know we're at the amendment stage, but if you could just maybe a 30-second primer to tell what we're doing and why we're doing it here, and then move forward on the amendment, and then we'll ask for any public comments that there might be from anybody else.
Certainly. In 2016, Crossing Investments wanted to develop this piece of property. Have y'all been able to look at the exhibit? It's the piece of property adjoining the Chick-fil-A in Brandon, and it sits on a hole. And so there was substantial need for some infrastructure and for dirt to be brought in to make it developable. Since 2016, they have brought in several restaurants, and there are plans to add a hotel to this additional parcel of land. It represents a private investment in excess of $20 million, and we're really excited about this addition to the city.
Okay. And as asked by the mayor, the city's contribution to this in the event it develops as projected is?
It's ad valorem only. We anticipate that the city's ad valorem taxes, which were originally $3,497 per year in 2016, will increase to $93,000.
Okay.
This is based on values that we collected in connection with the Rankin County Tax Assessor's Office and comparable projects in the city area.
Okay. And with regard to that, can you advise the board as to whether or not the county has agreed to participate as well?
The county has indicated they are willing to participate, but we have not been able to get in front of them with formal action. We got bumped from the agenda today due to budgeting matters that they were taking up, and so we will be before them on September 5th.
Well,
But they
based
are
on
in
your
favor.
experience, you expect the county to participate in what regard?
Yes, sir.
Up to 20 mills, is that right?
Up to 20 mills of their ad valorem taxes. Yes, sir.
Okay. If I could, Ms. Fairbank, you're here on behalf of the city from the standpoint of bond counsel, is that correct?
Yes, that's
Is there
correct.
anything in addition to what Ms. Sugg presented to the board and to the audience that you need to add to or with regard to the information?
No, I think that covers everything. I
Okay.
think we,
I'm going to ask the audience, is there anyone in the audience who desires to make any public comment with regard to the proposed resolution before the board? Okay. Seeing none, Mr. Mayor, I'd ask that the public hearing be closed.
Okay, the public hearing is closed. Folks, this is the parcel across the street from Applebee's down here for a home two, if you hadn't heard that. The necessity of the changing the boundary of the original TIF is to allow for stormwater to be collected in one stormwater location. That's a hindrance to that property because it's so narrow to the ditch behind it. But the developer does have, and just told me I can freely talk about this, that will be the home of a home two, a Hilton flag, and that's what this is all about. All right, board, any questions? Is there a motion to approve, to adopt the resolution for the development? Motion by Mr. Chris Vinson, second Mr. Jared Crane. Any comments? All in favor say aye. All opposed, like sign. Thank you, board. Board, with your permission, I'd like to combine 2 and 3. Consideration to adopt a resolution approving the adoption and implementation of the tax incremental financing plan for the Cross Gates Crossing Development Project, City of Brandon, Rankin County, Mississippi, September 2016, as amended, and restate August 2023, and authorize the mayor to execute same. Item 3 is request permission to travel to Meridian, Mississippi to attend the 2023 Small Town Conference, October 25 and 26, and to Oxford, Mississippi to attend the MML Board of Directors meeting September 22nd, and authorize payment of all related travel expenses. Board, I won't be staying overnight in Meridian. I'll be driving back and forth.
May. Did we not just take the action to approve that resolution, or is there 2 resolutions? There are 2? Okay, got it. Thank you.
Motion by Mr. Harry Williams to approve, second by Ms. Sharon Womack. Any other thoughts, conversations, board? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Thank you, board. Ms. Bean, and I'm sure that microphone is not on.
May I take all of these items together?
Yes, ma'am. Slowly, please.
The first item is set public hearing for August 24th at 6 o'clock p.m. regarding the fiscal year 2024 taxing and spending plan and adoption of the tax levy. Number 2, request permission for Joshua Sutton to enroll in the municipal clerk certification program, attend all required classes for certification, and authorize payment of related course registration and travel expenses. Number 3, consideration to appoint Josh Sutton as petty cash custodian for the clerk's office fund in the amount of $200. Number 4, consideration to approve a quote from M&R Protective Services as the lowest and best in the amount of $14,800 to install 7 new access control door locks and authorize payment of the same. Number 5, consideration to approve the renewal of the Civic Plus mass notification system for 1 year in the amount of $15,955.38. Number 6, request permission to accept a quote from Insight as the lowest and best in the amount of $6,172.65 for the renewal of the Adobe license. And number 7 is consideration to approve the docket of claims for August 21, and the Fox Everett claims are released on July 27 and August 10.
Thank you, Ms. Angela. All right, board, 7 items. Is there a motion to approve those 7 items from the clerk? Motion by Ms. Sharon Womack, second by Mr. David Ferris. Any question on any of those items? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Angela. Thank you, board.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'd like to take 1 through 4, then 5 through 7, and do number 8 on its own, if that's okay.
Sound like a plan.
Okay. Number 1, consideration to approve the construction, engineering, and inspection contract with Benchmark Engineering for the Highway 80 signal upgrades for Stonegate Drive and Woodgate Drive project, and authorize the mayor to execute the same. Number 2, consideration to approve pay request number 2 in the amount of $397.12.40 from AdCamp Inc. for the 2023 overlay project, and authorize payment of the same. Number 3, consideration to approve pay request number 6 in the amount of $220,906.92 from Thornton Construction Company for the Grants Ferry Parkway Sewer Line Extension Project, and authorize payment of the same. Number 4, consideration to approve invoice H23069-01 in the amount of $5,629 from Hemp Hill Construction Company, Inc. for the repair to the storm drain inlet near 132 West Legacy Drive, and authorize payment of the same and amend the budget accordingly.
Thank you, Paul. Mr. Baker?
Number 4, the 5629 to Hemp Hill,
Yes, sir.
is that, what was that? Is that an emergency? Is that a commodity? What is that?
I believe that was commodity, sir.
Thank you.
All right.
Mayor,
Yes,
I have a
sir.
question about number 2,
Okay.
Yes.
ad count. I thought they were supposed to go back and redo old 471.
They are, I'm going to go to
Great question. I'm glad you said that.
Matthew.
This is
That's
not
supposed to be
the
in 2 weeks, is that correct?
This is not the final pay request. Matthew, you got an update for us?
I'll be happy to update. I talked to them today. Their plans to be there middle of next week to get that knocked out. That's the northbound lane, the east side on 471.
And what kind of retainage do we have for that?
We got 5%, so we still got a large amount of retainage on there.
Okay.
Also includes the final striping. That's still
Okay.
temporary.
Yeah, there were still
striping.
some other quantities there that were
I
not
see.
included.
Okay.
Good?
Yes, sir.
Great question. Thank you. Appreciate the update, Matthew. Any other question on 1 through 4? Is there a motion to approve? Motion by Mr. Jerry Crane. Second, Mr. Chris Benson. All in favor say aye. All opposed, like sign. Thank you, Board. All right, Paul,
Thank you.
number 5.
Number 5, considering to declare an emergency the repairs to the water line at 301 Cornerstone Drive in the amount of $8,423.42 from WW Solutions, Inc., and authorize payment of the same. The number 6, consideration to approve the quote from Hemp Hill Construction Company in the amount of $36,190 as the lowest and best quote received for the 2023 Grandeur Drainage Improvements Project. Number 7, consideration to approve pay request number 10 in the amount of $85,207.48, including the final change order summary from Hemp Hill Construction for the College Street Waterline Improvements Project, and authorize payments of the same.
Mr. Baker has a question. Wait just a second.
No, you're okay.
So it's 557, emergency, Hemp Hill for 3619, and the pay request number 10 of 85,000. Is that it? You also have WC concrete?
I do. I'm going to take that on its own.
Okay. With regard to the emergency repairs from WW Solutions, will you please make sure to have a certification in the file with your memo?
It's already complete. Yes, sir.
Perfect. And you're asking the board, as part of the finding of an emergency, is that the need is such that the delay incident giving opportunity for competitive bidding would be detrimental to the interest of governing authority. In other words, it had to get fixed.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I got it. We'll put that finding in the minutes. Thank you.
Okay.
All right. Is there a motion to approve those items? Motion by Mr. Who said the second? Motion by Mr. Lou Coker, second by Mr. Jerry Crane. Any further questions? All in favor say aye. All opposed, like sign. Okay.
Okay. Before reading number 8, I'm just going to explain what's happening here. The agenda says Canton Concrete Company in the amount of $8,060. It's actually Jackson Ready Mix in that amount. Canton Concrete Company was not able to supply us concrete in a timely fashion, so we went with Jackson Ready Mix, who was only $30 above what Canton was. Canton was actually $8,030, while Jackson Ready Mix was $8,060.
Mr. Baker?
I'm trying to,
That's all right. Take your time.
WC Concrete 10-6, yes?
Yes.
And we're changing Canton Concrete to what?
We're changing Canton Concrete to Jackson Ready Mix because they weren't able to get us concrete when we needed it.
$8,090.
And it should be a total of $8,060.
Okay.
To I thought you said $30 more.
Canton's quote was actually $8,030.
And you're asking the board to first find that
That we go with the second.
that because of the timing, was there a plant failure or something?
No, sir, they had so much concrete going out they couldn't get to us.
So because of the then inability to provide?
Yes, sir. We were going to go with the other bidder, or the other quote.
I got it. Thank you.
Okay. Consideration to approve the lowest and best quotes from WC Concrete in the amount of $10,600 and Jackson Ready Mix Concrete in the amount of $8,060 for the construction of a paved ditch at Old Town Detention Pond, and amend the budget accordingly.
Got everything you need? Okay. Is there a motion to approve that request? Motion by Mr. Dwight Middleton, second by Ms. Sharon Womack. Any further conversation on that one? All in favor say aye. All opposed, like sign. Thank you, Board.
I just want to make one clarification.
I want to back up, too.
Yes, sir.
I need to make a comment. You go first.
We were in the middle of a project when that was happening, right? And so we needed concrete.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and so you can't just stop what you're doing if you need concrete. You have to get what you get. And so you got 2 quotes.
Yes,
One
sir.
of them couldn't get there in time.
Yes, sir.
Okay. That's all memoed? You got that all typed out pretty in a memo to the board?
I can do that.
Okay, thank you.
Board, I'd like to back up an audience to number 1 on that. That one got by me earlier. That is the signal at Stonegate and Woodgate. The purpose in me of what I'm trying to speak to is when those 2 go into construction for offset turn lanes, like the 2 that have been done out here at Municipal Drive and Eastgate, those will go into construction probably early next year. I'd say February or March by the time they get everything ordered. The East Metro or Crossgates Boulevard as we know it. Folks, I'm just telling you, Marcus, you can please put this in the paper. You know, first I'm told May, then I'm told June, then I'm told July, then I'm told August, then last I was told September. So I asked Friday, and they pushed it to October. So, you know, I would hate to think that we've gotten another bad contractor in the mix. As you know, this is a group of 4 that make up the East Metro Commission. It's the airport, City of Flowood, City of Pearl, and City of Brandon. So none of us can speak independently about it, but it's getting to where, you know, when you've got one 4-man crew in there doing concrete, which is what they had today, it just drags. So I know it's not just heat. I know it's not weather. It's great construction weather. Even though this great construction weather we have is causing havoc on our water system. I can tell you there are water leaks, small and big, all over the place. So bear with us. I think our folks are doing a great job keeping up with them, but it is wearing them out. So, Marcus, right now it is last of October for the final striping is the schedule for East Metro. Don't you just love it? Chickaboom, chickaboom. All right. Thank you, Paul.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, Sam, you're up.
Good evening.
Good evening.
All right, I'd like to take these individually.
All right, we're going to take number 1. Well, public hearing and board action regarding conditional use approval for a liquor store located at 1032 Highway 471 North, parcel I9F-1-111. Mr. Baker, floor is yours.
For some reason, I don't have your status on file.
I put it on we uploaded it. I can
Clerk
go-
has one for you.
Director, can you advise the board as to whether the prerequisites to the public hearing have been met?
Yes, sir.
And this is the application of
For
proposed
conditional
liquor
use.
store at 1032 Highway 471, parcel I9F-1-111. Is that right?
That's right.
In conjunction with this, was the matter presented to the Planning Commission?
Yes, sir.
Okay. What was the recommendation of the Planning Commission?
That we grant a conditional use contingent on them going above and beyond with landscape buffers, doing subsurface detention to
You may need
replace.
to speak up just a little bit. I think there's a good number of people here tonight.
I got you.
Okay.
So basically, they're going to be required to bump up their landscape buffers. They had to do subsurface detention, increase their parking to 45 spaces. And those were the 3 conditions.
Okay. What about access to the facility itself?
It's remaining 1.
I'm sorry?
There's 1 entry point
Where's that?
on the north end of the site, northwest end of the site, the existing entrance.
Okay. There are just some people here that may not be familiar with it, so we're trying to educate them before they
I got
come
you.
and ask questions. And so, in the course of the matter having been considered by the Planning Commission, did you receive any objections, written or verbal, with regard to the same?
Since the notice was put in the paper and I think we did our mail outs, we've received quite a bit of feedback, negative, just opposition.
Okay. And did your department prepare a staff report in this case?
On the opposition?
No, did you prepare a staff report from your office?
Yes, sir.
Okay, staff report 23-008, is that correct?
That's right.
Are you asking that the staff report, together with the documents and things appended thereto, be included as part of this public hearing?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Will you generally describe for the audience the nature of the application?
So the applicant has applied for a conditional use permit, which would allow them to build a liquor store on the south end. It's a freestanding building at the site we're discussing.
Okay, and how big?
5,000 square feet.
Okay, and can you advise the board as to whether or not they have met, to your understanding, all of the requirements with regard to distance and all the things that are required under state law and city ordinances?
They have. We've had to go back and forth quite a bit, but they are now in compliance.
Okay, except for the conditional use aspect, which is a requirement of the city, because there's no district in which a liquor store is a permitted use, except with respect to the request for conditional use, are there any other exceptions, variances, or other things being sought by the applicant?
No, sir.
Have they met all their off-street parking requirements?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. This time, you've heard a general description of the application. Obviously, there's probably more that you may have a question about, and the director is here, and I hope he'll be able to answer those questions as we go through it. But at this time, we'll hear from those either in favor of or in opposition to the application that is pending before the board for conditional use for the liquor store to be located at 1032 471. Just come up to the mic, state your name.
My name's John Tillery. I'm a resident of Spears Crossing, and I would be against them getting a liquor store right there in the front of our neighborhood. I think it's already a congested area there. I'm not against business properties right there, but something that promotes most of its business historically in those prime peak traffic times. And that does not improve the aesthetics or marketability of our property.
Tillery?
Tillery.
What was the address, Mr. Tillery?
318 Spears Valley.
318 Spears Valley?
Correct, sir.
Got it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
If you could, when you come up, I've got you, Mr. Tillery. Thank you so much. If you could, state your name and your address. And I'm going to try to spell it right, so I may ask you a couple times. I apologize.
Hello.
Pull that mic down. You don't have to stand on your tiptoes.
Heather Biddle, Biddle, 640 Wild Horse Lane in Spears Crossing. And I'm actually one of the HOA board members. So not only am I talking for my own family, but I'm also speaking on behalf of many of our residents in the neighborhood that have expressed some concerns, which I don't disagree with. There's the main points that we have is we moved there to have like the small town off the beaten path, but close to the city. Right now, our children sometimes ride their bikes up to the creek, and they walk across, and then they go and get their snacks. That's like a big deal, the freedom to let our kids go back and forth. So the addition of another building with additional parking issues, that if I had a smaller child, that would end that day. They wouldn't be allowed to go back and forth. Heaven forbid someone that has already partaken. I know it could happen anywhere, anytime, but someone driving there to resupply, if they hit a child, if they hit me, if I walk over to get something, and just it's so small of a space right now with the parking. It's always kind of very congested to begin with, and there's only one in and out. When we are at our traffic light to turn into Terrapin Creek, into Spears, there is no protected turn. So sometimes we're there 2 and 3 light cycles before we can even turn across with the traffic coming off the flyover. So that would increase traffic, which a new driver, a seasoned driver, it's aggravating and it's somewhat dangerous. We also, with detention, if the detention ponds are changed, it could negatively impact how our neighborhood drains also, because we have ponds in a small lake. So we're a bit concerned about would that cause flooding in our own neighborhood to the houses that back up to the lake and to the ponds. And the buffer, our trail runs right behind there, so the additional noise pollution, light pollution, just in general, we're opposed to the specific spot. Love the idea. It would be convenient, but not at that spot. We just don't want a liquor store right outside our front door, to be honest. And I guess that's pretty much it. We have some more board members and other neighbors that are here that might have some additional things to add, but we just don't want to have another Highway 80 corridor on 471. So, thanks so much.
Thank you. Now, you're more than welcome to come up and speak, or I can ask for a show of hands if you don't want to speak, and I can say who's here in opposition, but certainly don't want to cut anybody off. So if you want to come up, when the last person speaks in opposition, I'll then say who else is here, and you raise your hand, and I'll note that for the record if you want me to. Otherwise, if anyone else has anything more to say, they're more than welcome to come forward.
I've always wanted to get behind this thing and talk. My name's Jared Thomas, Jared, and I live at 609 Wild Horse Lane in Brandon and Spears Crossing. I've sent an email to all of you, the board and Sam, and basically kind of outlined what I thought about it is, you know, when you're going to build that area, the construction traffic's going to have to come through where all that gas station is, and it's a really, really tight space, and you're going to basically infill with tons of dirt. Unfortunately, there was no, on the public hearing page, there was no architectural renderings or setbacks, anything that described what it would look like or show what it would look like. And so really, really nervous about building on a retention pond and basically, you know, where's that storm water going to go? Because whenever we had that big flood last year, you know, that whole place was just underwater right there. So you're about to upfill about 5 to 7 feet. But also just want to, you know, do the same sentiment of, you know, when we grow Brandon, what do we want to look like in 20 to 30 years from now? What do we want the aesthetics to be? And what do we want, you know, what are we trying to go after? Are we trying to go after everything that wants to be placed here? And then we're dealing with kind of what we see now, you know, with the Microtel and the Brandon Inn. We're like, oh, we're condemning this now because it doesn't meet our quality and our standards. And I'm glad we're doing stuff like that, but I want to make sure we're trying to grow smartly and thinking it through more than anything else, and strategic growth. So that's all I have.
Is there anyone else who desires to speak in opposition? I'm not seeing anybody get up. I'd like, by a showing of hands, who all is here in opposition to the application? Sam, would you please count those for me, please?
17.
17 total?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. All right. Is there anyone here who desires to speak in favor of the application? No, we've got the applicant's information and everything. Is there anybody here on behalf of the applicant tonight?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Good evening.
Good evening.
If you could state your name.
My name's Lovepreet Kinda.
Okay. Is there anything you'd like to share in addition to what you've got in your application or otherwise?
From what I heard right now is, to my knowledge, that everybody's not aware of how the specifics of the under detention pond. It is going to be more than twice the size of what currently we have. It's going to be underground. We were going to have it above ground, but we didn't meet the requirements and didn't have enough space. But so now we went more than what we needed to by, I believe, 2,000 to 3,000 square feet inside. And sorry, I'm a little nervous, but we're also going to add a buffer buffer zone, vegetation buffer zone towards Spirit Crossing. So there'll be, it won't disturb the neighbors as much. And let's see. Sorry, give me one second.
Take your time, that's fine.
Right, and the building exterior and interior. We have the exterior currently. The interior, we have the electrical, the mechanical, and so on. But we can, I don't know if you guys have the updated picture of what the exterior is going to look like. It'll meet the expectations that the city has and the neighborhood has. So that, and it'll also generate property tax for the city as well. Right now it's vacant land, so that's, that's about it.
Okay, let me just make sure. J-A-P-R-E-E-T, is that correct? First name?
No, L-O-V-E. L-O-V-E-P-R-E-E-T.
I'm sorry, I got that terribly wrong. And the last name?
It's Kinda, K-H-I-N-D-A.
Thank you.
Yes, and also I forgot the traffic concerns. We did have those concerns as well before we built the gas station, but for those concerns, we also paid for that right lane that goes into the store, just so the customers wouldn't be, the traffic wouldn't be congested and the customers wouldn't be aggravated. And that's about it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else who is there anyone else who desires to make any public comment with regard to the pending application? Any additional comment from the Community Development Department?
No, sir.
Yes, sir.
We asked a question earlier, getting opposition to the request. We have some additional signatures from the members of the North Brandon Church of Christ that signed a petition. I didn't know if that was admissible or not. I wanted to give it as part of the record if you all would accept those signatures.
Absolutely, sir.
Thank you.
Give it to the city clerk.
Buy me a one-way plane ticket to Australia.
Of the church, the Brandon.
North Brandon Church of Christ.
68 signatures.
Okay. If you would give that to Angela, please. All right, Mr. Baker.
I'm getting in.
You take your time. Get it right.
Okay. I have the individuals who spoke in opposition, spoke 17 residents for, 17 residents who appear in opposition, and petition
68.
68. 68 signatures and members of the North Brandon Church of Christ, the minutes part of the record, and we have Mr. Kinda who spoke in favor of that. Is there anyone here who desires to provide any additional information or speak on the matter of the application? I thought it was.
Okay, folks, since we've got 2 or 3 of these things coming up, let's see if we can clarify a few things. Every property owner has rights. So you have, and this system that we have is set up intentionally to go slow. At best, at 8 weeks, 9 weeks, usually 10, 12 weeks to get to a point before this board would render a vote on something. So both the applicant has a right to ask for a zoning request, and we have systems set up for that. And that goes through a process, and this board knows that when an applicant comes forward and he meets all the criteria that building code and community development has administratively, we have no choice but to bring this to the board because it satisfies the criteria that the board has established to allow something like that. So consequently, everyone else has an opportunity to say yay or nay on it as well, especially adjoining property owners. Church in this particular case is really not an adjoining property owner. I'm not advocating one way or another, I'm just making a statement of fact. So that's the dilemma that this board is placed in, is we've got two sides of an equation, and it's like King Solomon, we've got to find an answer to this, and I trust this board to do the right thing, and they will always do the right thing. So everybody just needs to understand that property owners have rights, and everybody has a right to speak their mind, and that's what a public hearing is all about. So we're going to have several of these, got a couple more coming, and a couple in a few weeks, and this is what makes the community grow, when people get involved and engaged and understand what's going on. Okay? So, that being said, board, do we have an opinion? Someone make a recommendation to approve or deny, or?
I make a motion to deny.
Okay.
Second.
Mr. Vincent, as part of your motion, are you coming to the conclusion that the applicant failed to meet the standards as required under 9.7.2 of the city's Code of Ordinances, which require, among other things, that the applicant prove to the satisfaction of the Board of Aldermen ingress and egress to property and proposed structures thereon, with particular reference to vehicular and pedestrian safety and convenience, traffic flow and control, and access in case of fire catastrophe, concerns about off-street parking and loading areas, refuse and service areas, utilities with reference to locations, availability and compatibility, screening and buffering with reference to the type, dimension, and character, required yards and other open space, general compatibility with adjacent properties and other property in the district. And if so, is there anything in addition in accordance with 9.7.2H, any other provision deemed applicable by you in course of your motion where you would consider this to be not appropriate for the surrounding area?
What you said.
Got it.
Now, before I ask for a second audience, this board knows, many people don't, and if you're new to government and you're just picking up on these things, we're in a world of litigation, and I think Mr. Baker does more than an admirable job of helping the city navigate and preventing litigation of type. So that is the purpose of reading that. It is now part of the minutes. Mr. Benson's motion that he made and the subsequent information he attached to it. So we have a motion to deny. Is there a second?
Second.
Who said that? All right. Second by Mr. Dwight Middleton. All right. Any further discussion before we vote on this, board? You'd like to add to, take away? All right. All in favor to deny the request, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Mr. Baker, you good with that?
Got it.
Thank you, board. All right. Mr.
Number
Hawkins,
2.
you're up to number 2.
Yes, sir. Public hearing and board action regarding conditional use approval for Region 8 Mental Health to operate a hospital at 615 Marquette Road, parcel number H8Q-1-50. And just to be clear, this is being treated as a hospital, as we're technically rounding up. It's really a crisis center where people will be housed for 24 to 48 hours. So.
Okay. I'm catching up on the last action. I'm sorry. Give me just 1 second.
You're good.
Sam, this is an existing building, correct?
That's right. It's an interior build-out remodel.
Okay.
About 40% of the building.
All right. I'm ready, Mr. Mayor. Thank you. Sam, could you advise, Mr. Director, can you advise the board as to whether all the prerequisites to the public hearing have been met?
They have.
Was the matter presented to the Planning Commission?
Yes, sir.
Did your department prepare a staff report in this case?
Yes, sir.
Are you asking that the staff report, together with all the documents and things appended thereto, be made a part of the minutes hereof?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Will you generally describe for the, and by the way, I looked at this application, and I appreciate you went the extra, I think we could have probably done it otherwise, but I appreciate your extra effort in this regard. But can you generally describe the application for the members?
It's an existing building. From what I understand, it's a school or a daycare or something like that, and they want to remodel 40% of the interior to house people that, for whatever reason, ended up being, admitted to Region 8. It's not an anti-ligature facility. It's not a behavioral health. It's just a crisis center. So if someone overdoses or things like that, they would go there, basically.
Okay. Audience, having generally heard a description of the application, is there anyone here who desires to speak in opposition to the same? Is there anyone here who desires to speak in favor of the same? Is there anyone here who desires to make any particular public comment with regard to the same? Seeing none, Mr. Mayor, I'd ask that the public hearing be closed.
Excuse me, the public hearing is closed, so we're helping out Region 8 and folks that need help in this, in a temporary holding location on Marquette Road.
That's right.
Okay. So board, all right, we got a motion by Ms. Sharon Momack and a second by Mr. Lou Coker to approve this request. Any other comments, questions, board? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign. Thank you, board. Thanks, sir. Go ahead.
Number 3, public hearing and board action regarding conditional use approval to build small cell towers and cross gates. It's at 3 locations that are in the staff reports.
One on. Board, I want to tell you that a lot of public bodies out there in the world, I can see a few of you grinning and that kind of thing about the complexities and time involved in this. You almost need a stenographer sometimes to sit here and take all this. Some boards out there in the world have a consent agenda. In other words, you generally send out emails or questions, the board does, and everybody, yeah, and you just kind of condense that down to a consent agenda, then you vote on 2 or 3 things that might need public comment. We choose not to do that here yet. We read, if you notice, every one of our department heads reads every item that comes before us, and we make it part of the record, and Mr. Baker makes it part of the minutes that we keep, so we can go back in time and archive what we need to get out of it. Mr. Baker, I'm spinning for you here, trying to give you some time. All right, you ready? All right, number 3. He's already, you want to open, there you go.
I've got it.
Okay.
Director, can you advise the board as to whether all the records for the public hearing have been met?
Yes, sir.
And will the staff report prepare this?
Yes, sir.
Are you asking that staff report together with all the attachments there to be attended as part of the record of the public hearing?
Yes, sir.
Was the matter presented to the planning commission?
Yes, sir.
What was the recommendation of the planning commission?
To approve.
And generally speaking, the city has a small cell ordinance which allows the, what look like black poles, pencil eraser cap on top, kind of stuff. And those are located in places throughout the city, but in order to ensure the aesthetics of that, each and every one of those comes from the city, is that correct?
That's right.
And is there anything different about these applicants, these particular poles and applications as opposed to the others that the city has previously approved?
They're also light poles. I mean, it's similar to other poles that we've approved.
Can you advise the audience and board generally where these proposed to be located?
I don't have that on my agenda list, but the 3 addresses are in the staff report.
Okay. And is there anything about those addresses that you can point out that's close to these concerns?
No, sir. It's 94 Woodbridge Road, 75 Willowbrook Lane, and 117 Long Meadow Road.
You have generally heard a description of the application which is before the board. Is there anyone here who desires to speak in opposition to the same? Is there anyone here who desires to speak in favor of the same? Is there anyone here? Yes, sir, go ahead.
I might have been a little quick. My name is Eric Lavorne. I'm the Government Relations Director for Extenet Systems. We're the company who's building the wireless network in metropolitan Jackson. Brandon is one of the jurisdictions that we're building in, and I will be very brief. I'm just here to answer questions if y'all have any questions
All
about
right,
our
Eric,
proposal.
spell your last name for me, please.
Lavorne, spelled L-O-V-V, 2 V's and Victor, O-R-N. First name Eric with a C.
And you work with?
Extenet, E-X-T-E-N-E-T Systems.
Okay.
We're the applicant.
No R. Excellent. And you are here in favor of the application, I assume?
Yes, sir.
A little bit different in a public hearing. We'll let you make your comments. If the board has any questions of you, they generally take those up once the public hearing's been closed. We let everybody kind of give
Yes, sir.
their input. That way the board can throw questions at everybody.
I will gladly sit down, let anybody comment, and if y'all have questions, I'll come back up and answer them.
Thank you, Mr. Vaughan.
I have questions.
Okay.
Give you a warning, I have questions.
Mayor has questions. Be ready. Is there anyone else here who desires to speak in any respect with regard to the pending application? Seeing none, Mr. Mayor, I'd ask that the public hearing be closed.
All right, public hearing's closed. Yeah, come on, I got questions. Audience, if you haven't seen these, there's one down here on Highway 80 close to Rankin First. There's one at Home Depot down at the end of the road, and basically, for the lack of a word, it looks like an owl box or a big bird box on top of a pole that are freestanding. So are these going on existing poles, or are these new poles?
What we are doing is replacing Entergy concrete streetlight poles. We have an arrangement with Entergy. We have a master agreement with them. So where there's currently concrete streetlight poles, Entergy will remove those, and then we will replace them with these new small cell wireless streetlight poles. These will be metal, not concrete. They will be in keeping with the aesthetics of the other ones that have been built within the city. Painted black, same design, stealth. We will add streetlights to them because the existing sites have streetlights on them.
Right answer, right answer. I couldn't hardly, board, ask to move forward with this if this was additional poles in someone's yard. But
Right. We always look to co-locate first, if we can. We have agreements. Our company's been in business for just about 20 years now. We're the largest privately held company in the country that builds small cell wireless networks for the major carriers. So we are what's called a neutral host provider. So we can accommodate, T-Mobile, Verizon, AT&T on our poles. It's getting harder and harder to put multiple carriers on one pole, but we do try to do that wherever we can. And the purpose for these poles is mainly because of the changing technology that's, small cells have been around about 20 years now, but they've really taken off in the last 5 to 10 years, mainly because of the advent of the 5G technology coming through. So these are really not for coverage, these are for capacity. So if you think about all the things you do on your phone and all the data that all those apps eat up and everything like that, and the fact that nobody has landline phones anymore and everybody uses their cell phones at home, you can see why we're coming into these areas and having to put these small cells there, because there's no way that 5G technology can work off the cell towers, the traditional cell towers alone. You have to have small cell networks, to supplement these cell tower networks in order for everything to work properly.
All right, great. Thank you.
Okay, you're
Board,
welcome.
any questions? All right, thank you
All
very
right,
much.
thank you.
All right, is there a motion to approve? Motion approved by Harry Williams, second by Mr. David Ferris. Any further comment or question? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign. Thank you very much for that. All right, number 4.
Number 4, at this time, I'd like...
Hang on one second, let those folks get out of here. All right. Okay.
At this time, we do not have enough information to set the public hearing for number 4. I'm going to strike that from the agenda, if I can.
Well, you can, or I can, but, so they don't want to go forward at this time? More
We don't have enough information.
Okay, so you want to strike it because you do not have enough information?
That's right.
Okay, so you're going to be bringing this back. I want to make sure there's people
Yes,
here in
sir.
the audience that were here for this reason, so it will be
At some
coming back.
point.
When do you think it may be coming back? Do you have any idea?
We may be setting it next time, at the next meeting, September 5th, depending on what we get.
Are we going to repost the property and notify?
We will have to,
property
yes, sir.
owners? So I have to start back, go back square one?
Yes,
and
sir.
come forward again, right?
That's right.
So that's the plan, all right? Sounds good. So we're going to strike number 4, and we'll put that off to some point in the future and move on. All right? Thank you for that. All right, you're done. Now we're on to Chief Dearman.
Good afternoon, Mayor, Board. How are y'all? We've got 6 items. If I can take them all one time if I can.
Nope.
Item number 1, consideration to approve the salary increase of 5 officers effective August 21, 2023 upon completion of Melota training pursuant to the memo. Item number 2, request transfer Christian Parker from Deputy Court Clerk to Municipal Court Clerk effective August 21, 2023 and set rate of pay in accordance with the memo. Item number 3, accept the resignation of 1 Sergeant Jarrett Langston, effective August 15th, 2023. 2, Patrolman Zierra Bates, effective August 27th, 2023. Item number 4, request permission for Investigator Robbie Reed and Ricky Myers to travel to Malota to participate in less lethal instructor course on September 26th through the 28th, 2023. Number 5, request permission to use Adcock Auto Body as best quote to repair the 2021 Dodge Charger VIN ending in 3117. We changed that. It's now request permission to use Barnett's as. Apparently we changed that. So
where we at? Hold on. Stop. Hang on. On number 5.
We will say lowest, might not be best.
Well, it has to be lowest and best.
But they have to both match, lowest and best, or best, or lowest.
You want the lowest and best.
Ready? So it's going to be Barnett's in place of Adcock. Yes, sir.
Chief and Mr. Baker and board, I can say for me, it would be turnaround time would have a lot of value into that. So this would be a good test. If it's not turned around quickly, then maybe that would not go. We need to keep up with that, how long it takes.
My only concern was there was a clause in there that said that wasn't a final price. I mean, they never looked at it. They only saw pictures where one came out and physically looked at it. I feel like this price is going to increase
I don't
substantially.
know that everybody can hear you, Chief. I'm sorry. And that microphone, I know you don't
I feel
like
certain,
it. I don't like it either.
feel certain the price is going to increase substantially.
Okay, well, then we don't have 2 quotes, and we just need to get those quotes to come back. So you don't, it sounds like to me, you're worried that you don't have a good set of quotes to get. You may not. So we gotta have 2 good quotes.
They're within $400 of each other, but one has on at the bottom of the clause.
A maybe in a clause.
A maybe in the clause.
All right, so we're going to strike number 5. All right, so strike 5, and we're going to 6. Look good, Mr. Baker?
Number 6, request permission to accept and receive grant funding in the amount of $99,323.60 for FY24 Mississippi Office of Highway Safety Grant, and authorize the mayor to execute any related documents. Further authorize necessary city administrative and police department staff, Joshua Sutton, Lieutenant Taffy Magruder, and Lydia Easley, to attend required grant implementation training workshop on 9/12/2023.
Excuse me, just a second. Need to make a note. All right, so we're voting on 1, 2, 3, 4, and 6. Is there a motion to approve those items?
So moved.
Motion from Mr. Jared Crane. Second, Mr. Chris Benson. Any further discussion or question on those? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Chief Roberts. So I know we have aggravated people because we have a burn ban now by the governor, right?
Yes, sir.
Tell you folks, they've been out on the interstate and everywhere else trying to put out grass fires, so we don't.
Been all around town.
Yes, sir.
All weekend.
Yes,
all
sir.
last week.
I know.
Well, I do it again this week as well.
Yes, sir.
The proclamation is zero burning, zero outdoor burning.
Okay.
Just let everybody know. I want to take all 5 of mine together, sir.
Yes, sir.
Item number 1 is consideration to approve emergency vehicle technical certification proctor agreement and authorize Deputy Chief Wolford to execute the same. Item number 2 is request permission to add volunteers/reserve members to the fire department. Item number 3 is request permission to hire Joshua Maloney as a probationary firefighter upon completion of his prerequisites effective August 22nd, 2023, and set rate paid pursuant to the memo. Item number 4 is accept the resignation of firefighter Connor Pruitt effective August 17th, 2023. Item number 5, request permission to purchase a 2021 Silverado 2500 HD in the amount of $54,999.00 from Mack Hike Chevrolet at the lowest and best quote received.
Thank you, Chief. Is there a motion to approve those 5 items? Mr. Baker, you looking for something?
Just always, when I'm talking about used vehicles, just want to make sure we're passing, that we've got 2 really good quotes on the used vehicles.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Is there a motion to approve those 5 items? Question?
Yes, sir. Well, sir, we have a lot of trailers, like a dive rescue trailer and trench rescue trailers and stuff like that we have to pull that are very heavy, that a 1500 will not do.
Second.
Who said so? Motion by Mr. David Ferris, second by Jared Crane. Any further question or comment? You get the motion, second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Board would like to retire to determine the necessity of being in executive session. And audience, this is where we ask you, usually there's some chairs next door, go out there and sit down. I can tell you got a few things to talk about. Board need a motion to go into, to determine the necessity of being in executive session.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Sharon Womack, second by Mr. Jared Crane. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign. Thank you, Board. And I will come out and announce what those are for in just a moment.